by the Russians as it patrolled 30 nautical miles off the coast of Crimea. So I thought it'd be interesting just to see what would have happened if that shit hit the fan. So the reality was, HMS Duncan would have been part of a small fleet. There'd have probably been other destroyers with it, but I thought we'd just try Duncan on its own. I've not run this scenario before. I've basically piggybacked on the back of another huge mission based around Crimea, so there's lots of other stuff going on, but for the purposes of the exercise it should do. I know there's an enemy fleet down here somewhere, and there was an enemy fleet, there was a Russian fleet shadowing Duncan in May, and there's two air bases here, one of which has 12 Su-35s and one of which has 12 Su-24s, and I've basically configured both of those for a maritime strike role, and I've used pretty up-to-date kit, high-speed Kryptons on the Su-35s, anti-radar missiles, and I've used Kazoos, basically high-speed cruise missiles, basically the Su-24s are going to try and attack, and I've set up a mission to, as soon as HMS Duncan is identified, to launch a strike against her, so basically trying to re-simulate what the Russians try to do. I've got her cruising south at 12 knots. She should be doing 12 knots. Yeah, 12 knots. And her radar is turned on, just like the real scenario. So we'll see what happens. So I've not run this before, so I've got absolutely no idea. Right, so she's just turning south. I can see there's some radars transmitting over here. I know there's a fleet down here somewhere at some point. My sensors are turned on. Yes, I'm running the radars just like in real life it was. Presumably these guys will know I'm there because I'm broadcasting. Let's just see what happens. The same loadout as he would have had in May. 48 missiles split between Asters and Sea Vipers, short range and long range. And I've set Russia up to be unfriendly rather than hostile, so I don't know they're going to attack me. I'm not going to automatically shoot them down. For them, I'm seen as hostile. So if I switch to the Russians, you can see, there you go, they've identified a hostile ship. So likelihood is they've now launched. So let's have a quick look. Oh, okay, I can see the missions there. They haven't launched anything yet, but I'm sure it's on its way. So look, aircraft. Right, well, there we go. Okay, right, mission's been kicked off now. So they've got what looks like a Russian, yeah, that's like a aerial surveillance. So he's busy broadcasting. He can definitely ID me now. Again, I still don't see him as hostile, just unfriendly. So I'm not presuming, I'm not taking any. And there's other stuff going on in the background, so just ignore that. It's only because I've piggybacked, I've just plopped the unit down and then changed the loadout of these guys so they would attack me. What this can do is turn the bloody volume down so it doesn't deafen me. That is one bug I wish they'd fixed. Anyway, right, okay, so all is good. I'm patrolling, heading south, admiring the beautiful Crimean coastline. Let's see if anything's got off the ground. Taxiing to take off, 1 minute 2 seconds, right, okay. All is good. Let's see what happens now. Presumably I'll pick them up pretty quickly after seeing them take off. Now, within right, they're well within missile range, or I'm already well within their strike range. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly I react. theory I could set it hostile once I presumed they're on hostile insets, but Su-35 has just taken off and is doesn't look to be on an inset course. So I'm going to leave him. Something else is off the ground. Another C-35. Presumably they'll be on an anti-air cap. Yeah, so he's on a cap. So he's got a cap mission down south. He's going to go and part of the other mission. I don't need to worry about that. Right, I've got 2 other launches. Now I know for a fact those 2 launches, those are my strike aircraft. Let's just see what happens. So they've been identified very quickly as Su-35s. Now interestingly, they've stayed at relatively low level. So these are things you're looking for when you're a radar. So these guys have already, see, they're climbing to cruise altitude. So the fact those are sitting at low level might make me think twice, I suppose. And in the video you hear them calling slot back, slot back. Now that's the radar detectors, so we're detecting enemy radars when they're doing that. And I've actually got these guys to set their radars off, I think. In fact, we could just change that because I think they were on based on the watching the video. Watching the video. Just going to edit the mission quickly that I've set, and I've called it Duncan Strike. There we go. Just quickly change the MCON to radar active. So basically, they're going to be broadcasting now if they've won that mission. So there, right now, I shouldn't really be seeing this, but this is the Russian flight pattern. So you can see they've developed an attack strike. They're going to try and come in off axis. So that's their inbound strike. They'll launch and they'll egress back out. This guy will likely have something as equally cryptic to try and confuse my mission controllers. There we go. Right, that's quite interesting to see them doing that. So let's switch back to NATO and see what goes on. Now the weapon systems I've configured these guys with, sorry, I'll just quickly show you that, just so you can see it. They're not messing around here. These guys are carrying Kryptons. I don't know if you know what Krypton is, but it's a freaking lethal Mach 2 nuts, all in, psycho huge, really long range, really dangerous bit of kit. I think the cruise speed on that one is something like 2,000 knots, so we're not talking iron bombs. And these guys, Su-24s, really common naval strike aircraft. There's loads of those buzzing all over the Black Sea. These guys are carrying Kazoos. They also happen to have an AA loadout as well, not a bad bit of kit. So this is, I suppose, similar to, a Slam or a Harpoon or something like maybe a Penguin, a bit more advanced than a Penguin. TV guide, pretty high tech bit of kit. It's not fastest, but it's a pretty realistic. It's what you might expect to go up against in this kind of an operation. So the theory being the Su-35s would launch anti-radiation missiles and try and engage my highly sophisticated radar, and then these guys would then try and kill me with cruise missiles. So we'll just switch back. And at the moment, as far as I'm concerned, they're just a whole lot of aircraft taking off. Got no idea whether they're friendly or not. We presume. We know they're Russians, that's all we know. Again, happily cruising south. Now, in the scenario the Duncan experienced in May, it went up against what they reckon was 17 aircraft split between Su-35s. Probably the majority were Su-24s and Su-25s, which is basically Frogfoot, like Russian equivalent of the A-10. I've just got two sets of 12 aircraft, So with more, I've got 24 going to go up against me. So in theory, technically I should run out of missiles, but it'll be really interesting to see how far we get. I might rerun it again with exactly 17 and try and find out exactly what the real what we were really engaged by, but I couldn't find anyone on the internet that had an exact list of what we went up against, so I just kind of did a bit of guesswork. So there's a slot back. You see that slot back? So that's the rate. That's when they were shouting 243 slot back. That's basically a bearing and a radar indicator. So that would have been, we're picking up radar signals 243 degrees, and that's been identified as a slot back. So slot back is a Su-35, and the other ones, the Su-24s are running. They weren't facing me yet. As soon as this guy turns to face me, I should get a reading on it. Right. Okay, so we've had a missile detection. Someone's launched a Vampire at me. What that means is somebody's fired a missile. And I suspect, well, I don't know. We'll find out. I've got no idea what it is, but somebody's launched something, so we'll see what happens. So these guys have all turned hostile now. Now I'm on hold fire, I think, because presumably, even knowing I've been attacked. We're British. We don't like to attack until we know for sure. So I've had 2 confirmed launches now. Okay, I'm still ignoring it. It could be a mistake. They might not be aimed at me. Who knows? Right. That's another Vampire. Right, at this stage I'll be getting a bit nervous. Okay, there's a 4th. Right, I might have to start reacting now, so I'm going to go to, I've changed the to tight, and we're going to start engaging contacts. In fact, I think, oh fuck it, let's just see what happens. I could have specifically tried to target the Vampires, but let's just go nuts and see what happens. And all these guys, it's going to target these guys first because they're the closest. I don't really need to target them, but anyway. It's not as pure a scenario as I might like, because of course we didn't know that they had a whole lot of aircraft taken off for a cat mission, but let's see what happens. What I might do is redo this with the exact fleet as well, because there was a couple of Turkish, there was a Cypriot, I think there was another, there was a few other destroyers with it that would have been fairly effectively armed. Let's see what the whole fleet does against a mass strike. So we're launching Sea Vipers. And the Sea Vipers are doing 2 things. They're engaging the incoming Vampires. And it's a pretty simple system. It'll engage the closest targets first, or the ones it thinks are the highest threat. These Vampires are still a little way away, even though they're shifting. So technically, you should really have engaged those guys first. Would have been my suggestion, but anyway. There you go. They're high as well. They're obviously coming on the big ballistic curve. And they'll dive down, sea skim. And these guys are really designed to take out radar systems. Right, well, one Su-35's dead. That's a hit. Second one down. Third one down. Right, I'm starting to engage these high-speed anti-radiation missiles now. Somebody else dead, not quite sure what. So we got one of the bombers. Right, first arm down. Second one down. We're out on a war footing now, clearly. Lots of launches. Interestingly, the strike pattern these guys decided to do by turning around in a big loop, I'm not quite sure that was the most sensible thing to do, because I might shoot them down before they get a chance to turn around. Anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll keep going. Getting close now. One of them seems to slip through. Still one slip through. If that hits me, I think I'm probably a dead man. Oh, it's got it. Okay. Alright, now we've run out of long range missiles now, I think. Or we're rearming another two. We're on short range stuff now. Two have got through. It's a hit. I'm dead. That's it. I'm knocked out. So. Looks like we're still able to actively engage enemy targets. I didn't count exactly how many missiles were launched against me. In fact, we can probably see that if we go to scoring. So they launched 16 AS-17s. I'm not quite sure what the 53KH-101s are. I don't know, we'll have a look. Stoi eta. Oh, okay, that is the... Oh, it's a cruise missile. That's something going on somewhere else. So somewhere else they've had some cruise missiles launched on another target. It's nothing to do with this little scenario. Alright, so what's the damage? Well, I'm on fire. I'm flooding. Looks like I've lost the Sea Viper vertical launch cells on the front. Some radars down. Still effectively guarding these. Something's guarding these though. Anyway, right. So in theory, these Su-24s are now turning on a flight plan. There's drop kick. Remember them saying drop kick, drop kick? Right, that's the drop kick radar. Come on. And Su-24. 243 drop kick. Interestingly enough, that wasn't an unrealistic attack profile in that you'd launch your anti-radiation missiles first, tend to be high speed, very effective at knocking out the air defense systems, and now they'll try and use cruise missiles to finish me off. Presumably. I'll just switch to the Russian side and see what's going on. Right, so that guy had actually launched from a safe distance, rather than doing the whole swarm thing, which is completely unrealistic. I'm still floating, albeit slowly. And what I didn't do was activate the jammies. In hindsight, maybe I should have done that, but okay, we'll turn them on now. A lot of those anti-radiation systems have home on jam anyway, so to be fair, they don't tend to do that much. I wonder if I swap sides whether there's any effect. No, it doesn't seem to be jamming. Right, we'll speed the game up a little bit because clearly these cruise missiles are a little bit slower. Let's go to 15 times speed. More vampires detected. So presumably this will finish me off, but it's a rather interesting exercise. And the reality was, you'd have never got that close without air support if you know, really went for a surprise attack. might get rid of those other aircraft at the bottom there and just maybe rerun it with just the strike aircraft. Try and make it a bit more realistic. The other thing to bear in mind is the engagement range of the weapon system is at like something like that, radius of that, so to have them go airborne well within the engagement envelope, it makes it a lot harder to engage. It's quite risky transiting so close to I suppose what you consider a hotspot, but they're trying to prove a point that they can do it. And remember, it wouldn't have just been a Duncan, it would have been 3 or 4 other destroyers, pretty effective little fleet. Chances are there's a submarine in front of them, 100 metres down, you'd never even know it was there. So let's see if the CIWS system will have any effect. I'm not even sure whether Type 45s have got goalkeepers on them or yeah, there we go. Looks like a phalanx actually, rather than goalkeeper. It's got straight through that one. Oh, the first one was a malfunction. Alright, there we go. So on our own, we would have had no luck. Let's try again. Where is it? Scheiße. Standalone, there we go. Where the bloody hell have I saved it? Is it Duncan or HMS Duncan? HMS Duncan, there we go. Alright, so according to my little reference, now where was it? The fleet had a few other assets in it. Frigate. Turkish frigate. Right. So we got a Hazard Perry. Oh Christ! I could sit there and try and figure out what all those were, but to be honest, I'm not going to be bothered. I think what we'll do is we'll just put down. Let's just. Oh, hang on. Just going to start menu. Right. Just load it up again, just to clear it. Right, so obviously there's a whole lot of other stuff supposed to be going on. What we're going to do is just quickly switch to Russian Federation. We're going to delete that airbase. I'm going to delete this fleet down here because we don't need that there. Yeah, okay, so we just got the attacking aircraft. I'm gonna just swap back to NATO. Let's just put another unit down. Let's put down an Oliver Hazard Perry. I think they said it was a Turkish one. So the way you do that, we go to Turkey. Just type Perry. What were they saying was the Gemlik Yildirim. Perry. Well, it's not exactly the same name, but oh, did it actually give me a type code? We'll choose that one. And we'll put another copy of that down as well. Oh, is that alright? Copy it, there we go, see. We'll put a third down. I think there's a few, but anyway, so we'll have them all grouped together. All on the Duncan and all heading south. Well, basically transiting about 30 kilometers from this location. So they kind of got their back to. Put them at 12 knots, and we'll have them travelling south. Let's just set the group doctrine. Hold fire. Radar is active. Everything else is set to passive. Let's try that again. Now the Oliver Hazard Perry isn't actually a particularly good anti-air unit. It only has a single rail missile launcher, which takes a little while to load between shots, and it can only guide, I think, one weapon at a time. Having said that, you know, we'll give it a go. What we could also do is just quickly, whilst that's running, there's a few things you can do. Is change attack radii is one of them, for instance. So we want to check the ASTER. Right, these are my weapon systems for the Type 45, and we're just gonna set. We're gonna just tighten up that range. We'll stop it engaging aircraft miles away for no reason. So that means we'll focus a little bit more closely on weapon systems. Guided weapons. Set that to 25 actually, I think actually. Right, so that's kind of the standing operation orders. They're not going to attack anything short of 25 kilometers, which is about there. So they're not going to shoot anything missile-wise outside of that radius. Zoom in. It's my little fleet doing their thing. Just turning. He's obviously trying to get his. You can set formations, so that little marker is a formation marker, so he's running at flank to get to the formation marker and he turns south. This guy is off there. It's not unrealistic, they tend to travel a couple of kilometers, a couple of nautical miles from each other. Good screen. Happily sailing, presuming no attack. You can see the engagement range of the SM2, it's SM1 actually. The original Block 1. This is the original surface-to-air missile the Americans ran with for a long time. It was obviously a lot closer. It's actually not bad against period peers. I mean, against a bear or against a badger, it would have been absolutely fine, which is what these guys would have faced out in the ocean. And then they brought things like backfires in, launching long range. High-speed missiles, and he's a little bit less capable of managing those. Anyway, right. quickly have a look at the Russians. Oh, something's launched. I've forgotten that airport there. I'm going to just delete this one because these are irrelevant to this exercise. He's on a cap, like an air to surface, sorry, an air to air. So I'm just going to get rid of all those, don't need those. Yeah, it's fine. I can get rid of all of these, doesn't make any difference. As you can see, they can see our radars, so they can see there's an enemy fleet. They're not quite sure where we are, but they know we're somewhere there. I think we're probably about to launch, if we haven't already. Right, okay, there we go. So there's a strike on the way. Clearly, I don't know that yet. Slotbacks. Yeah, I don't know what they are. I'm going to get rid of them as well. Don't need those. Switch to Russia. I think, again, these are on a different mission. Get rid of them. Yes. Yep. And I'll get rid of those because that's got nothing to do with this either. Right. Now you could argue that the reality was these guys would never take off unsupported, but equally the reality was I'd never be sat there unsupported either, so they're both pretty unrealistic scenarios. But they're fun to test. Again, the Russians insist on doing a weird flight plan. So this is done automatically. You can change it if, obviously when you're in the game, you can actually change your side, but automatically it does. There is some logic to how it sets these up. Depending on the flight profile, whether it's a high, high, low, or high, low, high. It tries to find dog legs to suit the mission profile. What's interesting, these guys don't have a good solid lock on me. I don't believe the jamming is on, it's just that they don't have that sophisticated radar. When they turn to face, if their radars are turned on, which reminds me, Duncan Strike MCON set to active. Right, so now they're going to be actively searching. So when they turn to face, they should in theory get a good look on. We'll just speed up a bit. Right, something's been launched. Vampire, vampire, vampire. So that's come off the slot back, Su-35. Well, this time I could be a bit smarter, so we could actively seek to engage those missiles with targeted return fire rather than just randomly shooting at them. So let's just launch one each. Presuming they were obviously fired in error. So the other thing I should do is change that WRA again. So this weapon release authorization is basically the rules that govern how the missiles weapon systems are used. So we'll just set them to launch, because they're redirectable, these Astas anyway, so we'll set them to do one at a time. 1 round, 2 rounds, 2 rounds, 1 round. Guided weapon. So it's a bit risky. Having said that, yeah, we'll give that a go. I think I'll be probably within my rights to engage these as well. They're not being engaged automatically because I've told it not to engage anything past a certain range, but as captain I'm feeling pretty distressed right now, so I am going to engage these guys. So again, when you play the game, you can manually target stuff with as many missiles or bombs as whatever you want to do, or you can let it do its own thing. It's up to you. There's a whole load more missiles coming in at quite high speed here, so in theory they should be engaged at about that range there. "48 missiles is not that many. I know they were saying on the video that that's quite a lot, but actually that isn't, but then it's only one ship. I think I'd be slightly concerned with just let's see, all those missed. So now we'll leave it up to do its own thing, see if it can manage it. I don't actually think this guy, his weapon can only be directed from the front quarter. Let's have a look at his launcher. Where's his launcher? Single rail, there we go. Let's put the arc on. There you go. So he can't even launch, so I need to rapidly turn my guys to engage if they can. I'm also going to turn jamming on now because clearly I'm being attacked. Unfortunately, I might be allowed to lose one of the frigates. Ah, there's some on hold. Bollocks. Right, hang on, let's just wind that back a bit. That's a bit silly of me. Let's come back to these seconds. Yeah, that explains a lot. Right. These are tight. Let's move them. Quite a few more launches now. You see it's trying to engage automatically now. I fired half the Asters, Sea Vipers, long range ones. Each of those bearing lines is obviously a track, so I'm able to track and control those. That's a missile out of one of the frigates. So they're defending themselves. Might be a different story this time. I'm honestly not sure how it will go. Those arms are pretty bloody lethal, frankly, so we'll see. See, when the little frigates fire, their radar dips in and out. That's the way their engagement range goes small. That's because they're reloading that single rail. They don't have anything on it. Oh, so we're at short range stuff now. Someone's shooting cannons. About to lose one of the other frigates. Oh, he got it with the phalanx. So the little frigate survived. Duncan took a hit. Only a minor hit. So it looks like the Su-35s have finished doing their thing. They're going back to base. And now we're going to see what the Su-24s do. Okay, so there's a shitload of launches from Zeus. So that's the SN-1 trying to take out the Su-35. It's not the best missile system actually, but it was effective that time. I think the chance to hit is pretty low on this. 90%. That's not bad. That's actually not bad actually. These are possibly improved. Yeah, it's block 7. I said from 1994, so it's had a bit. It's not an old version. Right, so I'm going to turn the fleet to face these incomings that I've seen now, so we can engage them. Speed the game up a bit. And this guy's got nothing left on him, so I'm not really. He'd probably choose not to engage him. Another whole load of kazoos. There's a lot of inbound missiles. So these cruise missiles move a lot slower. They're actually a little bit easier to engage, frankly. But having said that, there's a lot of them, so it's not an unrealistic strike scenario. I wonder if my jamming is on now. So there was me dissing the little type. The Oliver has a Perry frigate, and they've done a bloody good job. It just goes to show how hard it is to kill an enemy fleet if there's more than one vessel, even with a shit ton of enemy aircraft. It looks like we might have had a hit there. No, we took another hit, I think. Oh no, managed to get it. Killed it with a phalanx, I think. Killed it. Well, there you go. Something's been launched somewhere. Ah, yes, you can see there's another mission going on. There's a whole load of cruise missiles. Yeah, there's a whole lot of other very exciting things going on elsewhere within the map, but that's not for the purposes of this. Anyway, so that was a really interesting exercise. So even with just 4 or 3 supporting units, relatively crappy supporting units, I have to say as well. The Perry class is not exactly known for its air defence role. We managed to fend off 24 of Russia's finest aircraft. So anyway, there you go. I thought that was an interesting little insight as to what might have happened.